Good afternoon, folks. Chief Meteorologist Nick Lillian here taking a look at your tropical update for July 29th of 2019, brought to you by good folks at Pine Belt Gutters. As always, big thanks to them for helping us out with these. We're going to start things off with a look at the water temperatures out there. We're cooling things off up around Bermuda, warming things up into the Gulf of Mexico. Also warming things up down into the Caribbean as well. We're still missing some of our buoy data, but for the most part, we're looking pretty toasty as we head out basically almost to the greater and lesser Antilles. And well, we'll take a satellite tour, if you will, across the tropics right now into the Gulf of Mexico. Nothing really doing. You can kind of see, a little bit of maybe some shear in here doing a decent number at keeping stuff kind of at bay. High pressure's in control just off to the north. We've got one little area of interest, National Hurricane Center giving this a 10% chance of development as it drifts closer and closer to the Bahamas. This thing actually looked pretty good yesterday. We'll run this back. It looked pretty good yesterday, and well, you've got some shear in here, just kind of, you can kind of see it up here, just pulling stuff away, and so it kind of ate it overnight. I will say, I think as we head through the next about 48 hours, it will eventually find itself into an area that's a little more conducive for development. But at a 10% chance from the National Hurricane Center, we're not too terribly concerned with this one right now. I will say, there is a little wave back in behind it. It's this little guy right in here that may be worth watching as we head through the next couple of days. This one has actually been picked up by a couple of the models. It kind of drifts off to the kind of west-northwest. It kind of cruises right through the greater and lesser Antilles. It actually kind of follows the same basic path that this first one is following, maybe a little further off to the north. And if it does so, it may end up in a situation where as it gets to the north of Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic, and Haiti, where it ends up in a place where it's in an area where it's a little more conducive for development. So that's wave number 2. So we got wave number 1. This is actually Invest 95L if you see stuff floating around online. I don't have a special graphic for it today with only a 10% chance in the next 5 days. I'll hold off on that for today. Wave number 2 back here, and then we'll slide this around. Wave number 3 just came off the coast of Africa and looks pretty decent. Wave number 4 is back in behind that, 5 into 6. So the train off of Africa is really getting going with all of these waves. And we'll keep tabs on all of them. But I will say, as we look at the modeling here, there's kind of only 2 or 3 that we really want to keep close tabs on. Here's wave number 1. Notice how this one's basically north of Puerto Rico by the time we get toward Tuesday and into Wednesday, not making a very quick trip of it. By the time we get toward Thursday, it's into the Bahamas. That second one is back over here. So we've got the 2 in here. So here's wave number 1, kind of gets its act together a little bit as it gets closer to the coast of Florida. Wave number 2 back over here. Wave number 3 and 4 as you make your way back into the open Atlantic. You can keep tabs on this one as it kind of curlicues back off to the northeast and away from everything. This next one, here's the interesting thing. So the European model actually pushes this thing a little further north. The GFS keeps a little further to the south here and moves it into the Caribbean. If that's the case, it's going to have a tough go of it down here because it's going to get eaten up by a whole mess of shear that's happening right now in parts of the southern Caribbean. The one back in behind it also gets kind of eaten up as well. So again, we've got 2 or 3 waves we need to watch the next couple of days. None of them at this point pose any immediate threat to the South Mississippi coastline or really pose any immediate threat as to entering the Gulf of Mexico, but worth watching as we head through the next couple of days. So there's a look at your tropical update for July 29th of 2019, brought to you by the good folks at Pine Belt Gutters.